Unfortunately, copyright laws today inhibit the use of others' material and can leave aspiring journalists, authors, directors, artists, and musicians in the dark. So how did I create the introduction piece for this video without infringing copyright? More on that later, but first let's examine the laws of copyright. Australian copyright law is embodied in the 1968 Copyright Act. Copyright was originally established to give the author ownership and to encourage creativity. One does not have to register copyright. It is automatically conferred upon creation. However, an idea cannot be protected by copyright. Copyright protects the expression of an idea, not the idea itself. The 2004 Free Trade Agreement between Australia and the US extended copyright from 50 to 70 years after the death of the author. The agreement was not retroactive, therefore, copyright no longer applies to works of writers, photographers, or artists who died before January 1st, 1955. Fortunately, Mozart and Beethoven died in the 18th century and therefore are in the public domain, in other words, free from copyright. But be careful, musicians own the copyright of reproductions. Joseph Keel, who created this picture portrait of Beethoven, died in 1857, well before 1955, and thus copyright free. The general rule is that the author owns copyright. However, print media employees only have rights to reproduce work in a book or for photocopying purposes. The employer retains all other rights. Freelance reporters and photographers own copyright unless their contract stipulates otherwise. Copyright ownership of photographs is complicated. For photos taken before April 30, 1969, the publisher owns copyright. For photos taken between April 30, 1969 and July 30, 1998, the publisher owns the rights for initial publishing and the photographer owns all other rights. For photos taken after July 30, 1998, the photographer owns the right to the copies of his work, but the publisher owns all other rights. In a recent amendment to the Copyright Act, creators are now entitled to moral rights, even if they no longer own copyright. These include attribution of authorship, a right not to have authorship falsely attributed, and a right of integrity of authorship. This new law gives the original creator a right to attribution and seeks to prevent derogatory treatment of their work. The copyright owner can sue for damages or any profits made from the copying. An injunction may also be sought to prevent further breaches. Copyright breaches for commercial gain is punishable by fine or imprisonment of up to 5 years jail. Contrary to popular opinion, the internet is subject to the same copyright laws. Many websites infringe copyright law by simply copying and pasting the works of others. In 1999, the Los Angeles Times sued the Free Republic website, which hosted a forum where users regularly posted the full text articles from major news websites. The court ruled that because Free Republic received donations and posted advertising for other political websites, the articles were used for commercial use and thus infringed copyright. In Australia, many commercial websites, including Crikey.com, avoid legal complications by just copying the title or introduction of another news website's article with attribution and a hyperlink to the original source. If you have not been assigned ownership of the work or given permission to use it, you must prove the work is used under one of the 3 fair dealing legal defenses. If the use of the copyright work is for the purpose of criticism or review, or reporting the news as distinguished by the courts, this does not violate copyright if sufficient acknowledgement is made. In other words, identifying the work by title or other description and identifying the author, unless anonymous or otherwise agreed. Copyright is not violated for the use of parody or satire if it does not conflict with the normal exploitation of the work and does not unreasonably prejudice the legitimate interests of the owner. Fair dealing does not cover music if it does not form part of the news being reported. However, it does allow for incidental recording as part of a live news event. The benchmark for the use of broadcast material was set in the UK in the 1999 Embryo court case. The use of a 30-second extract of broadcast material was accepted as fair dealing. Lord Justice Walker said the use of the 30-second extract would have been fair dealing for the purpose of reporting current events or for criticisms or review. The plethora of copyright rules can be daunting. The key rules to remember are: generally, the author owns copyright except for employees of publishers. Always attribute copyright works. A work is in the public domain if the author died before January 1st, 1955. The internet is subject to copyright law. And finally, copyright works can be used without permission if they are deemed by the courts to be used under fair dealing. In other words, for the purpose of criticism or review, reporting news, or satire. But the easiest way to avoid legal problems is getting permission from the owner. Fortunately, today, the non-profit organization Creative Commons makes it easier for aspiring creators to obtain permission. Creative Commons establishes usage terms with the authors and presents free licenses to the public. The license conditions are stipulated in the form of symbols. Here are some examples of the conditions of Creative Commons licenses. For works marked with the attribution symbol, you can copy, distribute, display, and perform the copyrighted work as long as you credit the work as requested. The share alike symbol means you can remix, tweak, and build upon your work even for commercial reasons, as long as you credit the work and license your new creations under the identical terms. This license is often compared to open source software licenses. For works marked with the non-commercial symbol, you can copy, distribute, display, and perform the work, and derivative works based upon it, but for non-commercial purposes only. The non-derivative works symbol means you can copy, distribute, display, and perform only verbatim copies of the work, not derivative works based upon it. The images, videos, and music used in the introduction of this production were downloaded from websites offering works with Creative Commons licenses: Stock Exchange, archive.org, and jamendo.com. Click on the available links to access these sites and more. Simply browse through the music, pictures, and videos, check the conditions of use, download the material, and you're ready to create your own masterpiece.